Good morning, welcome back to the one and only Bob. We were last left them. They were at the zoo, and he was kind of explaining Ivan and Ruby and their habitat and how he fit in. So once, when we were still at the mall, I told Ivan how brave I thought he was, the way he put up with everything that had happened to him and never stopped being a good guy. Ivan just looked at me, cocked that big old head of his, nodded a bit. "That's not brave, Bob," he finally said. "That's just knowing what I can't change." "I call it brave," I said. "I call it crazy brave." Ivan held a browning banana up to the light, like it was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen in his long gorilla life. I wondered whether he was going to eat it or draw it. You never knew with Ivan. "Seems to me there are a lot of ways to be brave, Bob," he said. A tiny mouse name of Eek skittered across his cage floor. "Hey, Eek," said Ivan. "Just checking for crumbs," she said nervously, because she always sounded nervous. "Dibs on all leftovers," I reminded her. She looked so terrified that I relented. "Over there behind the tire, old Carrot Top." "Respect, Bob," she said, scampering off. "Take a small creature like Eek," said Ivan. He scratched his chin with the end of the banana. He did that when he was in a philosophical mood. "Maybe brave for a mouse is different from brave for me or brave for you." He looked at me fondly. "You're the bravest dog I know, pal." "I ain't brave." I chewed on my tail, avoiding his gaze. "You are, Bob. Untamed and undaunted," said Ivan. And he chomped off a hunk of banana. He offered the rest to me, but I shook my head. I wasn't feeling hungry. Also, it was mostly just peel. "That's just my shtick, my routine," I hesitated. "I mean, sure, I'm tough compared to, say, Eek, but that's setting the bar pretty low." "You're too hard on yourself sometimes, Bob." I met his eyes. He has these dark brown, deep-set eyes, really kind ones. Eyes that make you want to admit things, confess to your failures. "Once when I was little, just a pup, I did something..." Ivan waited patiently. Ivan is the king of patience. I felt myself dashing into a dead-end tunnel I couldn't escape. I didn't want to go there, not even with Ivan. "Never mind," I yawned. I do that when I'm anxious. I'm rambling. "Bob," Ivan said, "you okay?" "You know me, Ivan. I'm always okay. Always." I slipped away before he could ask me anything more. "Uncle Bob!" Ruby races over, glumph, glumph, across the broad field that's part of the elephant domain. She's so cute when she runs, she's determined not to trip on her trunk. Ruby adores me. I make her laugh. I read the room. I lighten the mood. I gotta admit, I am kind of adorable. When I'm with Ivan, I think, "Pal, we've been through a lot, you and me. We are survivors." When I'm with little Ruby, I think, "Girl, look at you. Hard luck passed, and here you are, so much happier, so loved." Reuben, like Ivan, was plucked from Africa as a baby. She ended up in a circus that went bankrupt, then got shipped off to Max Mall. Ruby was taken in by dear old Stella. When Stella passed away, Ivan stepped in to play. Well, elephant dad, I guess. I did my part too, not because I felt like I had to. It just made life easier. Elephant toddlers are a handful. You think humans are bad? Try putting a 200-pound baby elephant in timeout. Little Ruby seems much more content at the park, surrounded by her new herd. Old and young and in between, they spoil that adorable pachyderm like you wouldn't believe. She deserves every minute of it. Kid had a rough start. Seems elephants hang out in packs of females. Now that she's at the park, Ruby has adopted sisters and aunts and grandmothers galore. In the wild, the elephant guys head off once they're old enough and do their own thing. Sometimes, I lose track of who's who among the elephants because they're always taking mud baths, scrambling their smells. By the way, what kind of animal actually likes baths? Mud. Sure. "How's it going, girl?" I call her Ruby as she stops near the moat edging the wall. "I had cantaloupe for breakfast, Uncle Bob, and it was yummy, and then I took a mud bath." She pauses to take a breath. "Do you want to hear a new dog riddle, Uncle Bob?" "Of course I do," I say, and I catch Ivan's amused glance. "What kind of dog is always on time?" asks Ruby. You got me, Ruby. I'm totally baffled, befuddled, bewildered. What kind of dog? A watchdog, Ruby exclaims. Watchdog. Get it, Uncle Bob? Not bad, Ruby. Not bad at all, I say. Ivan says it's going to rain buckets, says Ruby. She dips her trunk in the moat and blows bubbles. I think Ivan is onto something there. Did he show you his new picture? Ruby asks. She grabs a tuft of grass and tosses it in the air. I wish I could see it, but I can't because of that silly wall, but he told me all about it. My pal Ivan is quite the artist, just like Julia. Ivan sits up and nods toward a spot on the wall. Another mud mural? I ask. As any good dog knows, dirt plus water equals mud, and mud means mess, and mess means let's roll in this stuff and maybe dig a hole or 2 or 10. But for Ivan, mud plus a flat surface equals a waiting canvas. I crane my neck, edging a bit farther down the top of the wall. Don't want to draw my attention to myself. Hey, nice, I say. I mean, I'm not an art guy. To me, art is a glop of sprayed cheese on a cheese dog with extra grated cheese on top. Still, I've always admired Ivan's work. It's... Ivan begins. No, I say. Don't tell me, let me guess. You always guess wrong, Ivan says. Not always. You thought my palm tree was a dandelion. Art is in the eye of the beholder, I say. You thought my blackberries were giant ants. Kenyani ambles up, joining the conversation. And need I remind you that you thought his portrait of me was a chimpanzee with gas. The resemblance was striking, I say. Kenyani glares at me. She glares at me a lot. Probably I shouldn't have mentioned the chimp angle. Gorillas aren't as open-minded as dogs. A lot of them have a thing about chimps. They think they're clowns. But when I look at apes and gorillas, it seems to me they have a lot more in common than they admit to. Dogs ain't perfect, but I'll tell you one thing where we rule. Tolerance. For us, a dog is a dog is a dog. I see a Great Dane, I say howdy. I run into a puggle, it's glad to meet you. How's it going? Smelled any good pee lately? Go to a dog park and you'll see. We are equal opportunity playful. You sniff my rear, I sniff yours. You don't see that with humans, obviously. Constantly seeing differences where none exist. All those things like skin colors, dogs could care less. You think I won't hang with a Dalmatian because he's spotted? Or a Shar-Pei because she's wrinkled? I'm not saying I love every dog I meet. Snickers comes to mind. But I'll always give a dog a benefit of the doubt. Life is short, play is good, and there are plenty of tennis balls to go around. Hi, Aunt Kenyani, Ruby calls. Once again, Ruby, says Kenyani, I am not your aunt. I am a primate, and you, my dear, are not. More's the pity. But if Ivan is my uncle, then you have to be my aunt, Ruby declares. Says Ivan, pointing to the wall. My painting, Bob? I consider. It looks like a dog. Ruby flaps her ears. I can tell she's trying very hard to stay quiet. A very handsome dog, I add. Is it? It is, Ruby exclaims. It's you, Uncle Bob. Uncle Ivan told me. But who's that? I ask, pointing to another set of mud strokes. I thought you needed a companion, says Ivan. I know you must get lonely at home, by yourself all day. It's true, but I've never mentioned that to Ivan. Guy's like a mind reader. I think Snickers and Bob would make a cute couple, says Ruby. I blink in disbelief. Bite your trunk. Ruby starts to reply, but her voice is drowned out by a sharp clap of thunder. Storm's getting close, said Kenyani. Ivan, dear, come on. You know how you hate the damp. It's true. He carries around old burlap bags so he won't have to sit on wet grass. Ivan looks at me sheepishly. She knows me well. Kudzu, one of the baby gorillas, bounds over and leaps onto Ivan's back. Ivan loves all the youngsters, but Kudzu is his favorite. I think she reminds him a little of his own twin sister, Tag, who died when she was still a baby. Ride, Kudzu commands. Julie appears, her backpack at the ready. Bob, she calls, we need to get going. Ride now, Kudzu repeats, yanking on one of Ivan's ears. Looks like it's time to go, says Ivan. Good to see you, buddy. Stay dry, okay? Will do, big guy. I turned to Kenyani. Enchanted as always, my dear. A trumpeting noise cuts through the air. Uh-oh, says Ruby. That's Aunt Akello. Akello, the oldest of the elephant aunts, lumbers over. Come on, Ruby, weather's getting bad. Just one more minute, Ruby pleads. Now. But I need to tell Uncle Bob one more riddle. Now, Akello repeats. Nobody ever listens to the littlest elephant, Ruby complains. You can tell me the riddle next time, kiddo, I say, winking at Akello. Ruby brightens. Okay, gotta go or I'll get in big trouble. Love you, Uncle Bob. See you later, Uncle Ivan and Aunt Kenyani. I'm not your... Kenyani begins, but Ruby is already galloping back to her herd. In the distance, thunder growls, long and low and not giving up. Reminds me of my stomach, pre-breakfast. I test the air. Weird. Something isn't right. Julia! It's George rushing over. Hurry up! You need to get inside. Excuse me. George has an odd scent, like he's on guard. I've only smelled it a few times on him. I look up. The clouds have turned strange shades of green and yellow and gray, clustered together like rows of fat marshmallows. It's so ugly, it's beautiful. I can't stop looking. The air goes still like a cat before it leaps on its prey. Kenyani and Ivan and Kudzo are racing toward the gorilla villa. A fat raindrop hits my nose. It tastes wrong. How can rain taste dangerous? People are yelling and running, opening umbrellas, covering their heads with maps of the park. More drops. At the far end of the field, I can just make out Akello herding Ruby along. Another drop. A dry one, like a pebble. Hail, George says. Julia, now! He grabs her hand. Rumbling. The sky boils and whirls. Bob, Julia calls. Come on! I move to leap off my perch, to run to Julia. I've done it 1,000 times. But this time, I lose my footing. I never slip. I am as nimble as Nutwit. But the rain, the hail. I let out a yelp as I land on Ivan's side of the wall, splat in the mud. Bob! Julia screams. He'll be okay, George says. I can smell Julia's fear and George's doubt as he drags her away. Noise. It's all noise. Noise that hurts. Noise like a massive truck bearing down on us. The power of its engine, the inescapable wheels, the relentless roar. Nothing to see, nothing even to smell. Just the terrible sound of the world disintegrating. What do you think it is? I think it's a tornado. I'm flying. Not far, just into the nearby giraffe domain. Not high, just enough to buzz the tops of the trees. Not long, just long enough to stop breathing. But I fly. I'm not alone. Half the world seems airborne. Trees, boards, bicycles, chunks of roof, umbrellas, chairs, bits and pieces of life. It all levitates past like some horrible magic trick. Something hits my head, a toy truck maybe, and I yelp in pain. And I'm terrified, so scared I pee myself. And I'll be the first to admit it. You try it and see how dry your underwear stays. But still, I fly. Not like in the box with my brothers and sisters. And not like with the owl. This is different. This is me, Bob the dog, spending a moment as Bob the bird. And then it's over. I land hard on my rear and slide to a stop directly underneath Stretch, the oldest giraffe in the place. The roar, and by now I've realized we're talking a real live tornado, vanishes as quickly as it came, leaving a vacuum. A silence that hurts even more than the noise. And this is why I'm a bad dog. Not bad dog like I chewed your favorite slippers. Bad dog like I'm not a good representative of my species, of any species. I don't think, Ivan, Ruby, Julia, are they all right? I've got to find them. That's what a dog hero would do. One of those guys on the Man's Best Friend show. Hero dogs dash into flames and dig into rubble. Hero dogs are fearless. Nope, not my style. What do? Bob, untamed, undaunted? I howl like a newborn puppy. I'm not hurt. Banged up a little, sure, but nothing major. And I don't howl for long, but it's what I do. Like I said, I ain't a saint, but at least I'm honest about my feelings. All right, I'm gonna end there for now. My phone is almost out of battery, so have a good day.